Hello and welcome to Coast AM's official YouTube channel. I want to talk with you about two subjects tonight, secret UFO bases and, of course, this Luciferian agenda. Give me your thoughts on this agenda, this Luciferian agenda. What do you think's going on?
Well, I have to update you. Since the last time we spoke, I had a real epiphany after the last time we were having a conversation because I was up all night, a lot of coffee and adrenaline.
Oh, sure.
I started doing some. I just couldn't go back to sleep. Okay, so I started doing some more research about this whole concept, which I've told you and your audience before, that I'd been given some clues that Lucifer not only was real, but that he had a real problem. He suffers from multiple personality disorders, and he also has inadvertently he's infected himself with these mental parasites that he accidentally created. He and his immediate
his cohorts,
spacefaring crew. Yeah, well, and I had told you before that the information I got was from a book called Christ Consciousness by a guy named Norman Paulson, who was a friend of my father. Now, in there, he claims that back in the 1950s, he was contacted by benevolent human extraterrestrials who told him this story about how Lucifer had ventured into some weird forbidden zone, like a black hole, and he was so badly traumatized, he and his crew, that they became insane. They went mad. And I told you I thought maybe that somehow that he was infected from a source external to our universe. But after I went back, last time we talked, I went back and reread that information. It says very clearly there that when they were in the forbidden zone, wherever that may be, and they went insane, that is when they accidentally created these mental parasites, which have various names, such as demons or archons or jinn.
All right.
Okay, so, and those things are extremely real. They're very dangerous, and they're very prevalent in affecting our consciousness negatively.
So you do not believe that Lucifer was a fallen angel?
Well, okay, let's be clear here. The word angel just is Greek. It means messenger. I don't see him as a messenger. Before he went mad, he was a builder of worlds. He and the people that work with him, they were
from another planetary
gods.
System or something else.
Yeah, it's not the 12th planet or 10th planet, whatever. It's not Nibiru. He literally came from the Orion constellation. He comes from a royal family. You can read about this in Sitchin's work. He's the one known as Enki.
Okay. All right. That's who he is. All right.
Well, that is, to clarify, I do not hate or fear Lucifer or Enki or whatever you want to call him. The guy has so many different names, it's a little bit absurd sometimes to try and keep up with it. But he is a real person. He's also a shapeshifter. My understanding is as a shapeshifter, he can look like anybody that he wants
at any time.
At any time. So a lot of people have met him and didn't know it. And even I didn't know it, George. That's the other thing I should clarify. When I spoke to you 2 years ago, I said that radiant being of light that I met on the mountain in Malibu in 1985, I wasn't sure who that was. All he said to me was he's the Father.
Did you think it was a godlike figure at the time?
Well, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
who wouldn't?
Yes, but I was being attacked by the mental parasites that I encountered earlier that day when I was working security at the beach in Malibu. And so when I was up on that mountain praying for help, and when he showed up looking like Jesus, I thought that he was there to help me. At the time, I had no idea that was Lucifer, and that he was the one that had created these parasites. And basically the reason he was confronting me is because I was interrupting his agenda.
And he knew it.
Oh, of course he knew it. Yes, of course I didn't know it, and it was really confusing to me. And even when I spoke to you 2 years ago, I still didn't know that was Lucifer. It was only shortly after our conversation that a lot of things clicked into place, and they're still clicking into place, which, in a way it's good. But I got to tell you, having this information, I suppose, is a blessing, because I think it's important that we know it. But it's also kind of personally, it's a curse, because I can't get away from it. I mean, I wouldn't choose to do that. At this point, let's just put it this way. It's a really big responsibility for me to report this accurately because it is affecting everybody to some degree.
Why would...
Apparently, he considers this entire planet to be part of his empire, his illegitimate empire that he started, we don't know. I'm guessing over 400,000 years ago. That's my estimation. At least that's when he came here and turned this world from a paradise planet that his mother and brother had first established essentially as an experiment. It was going to be, if it went well, it would have been a blueprint for the rest of the Orion Empire. But when Lucifer went mad, and he eventually found his way out. He and his crew eventually found their way out of the Forbidden Zone, and they were like rabid dogs. They'd gone completely insane, and they were dangerous. He made his way home back to the court of Orion. His parents said, even though he was firstborn and he was the next heir to the throne, the kingship of that empire, that galactic empire, they said, there's no way that we can't allow you to ascend to the throne because you're mentally unstable. And he said, well, then the heck with you guys. I will start my own empire. That's where the war in heaven started. And it eventually, it wasn't his ego. It was his mental state. He's broken. His spirit is fractured.
How has he been able, Robert? How has he been able to live so long? I mean, you just mentioned 400,000 years.
Yes. Well, okay. We're talking about divine beings, gods, goddesses that are shapeshifters. They are interdimensional. They're not just extraterrestrial. And the reason we don't live very long here is because of his tampering, his genetic modifications that he's done to us to cause us to be have an expiration date.
It's like a time clock in us or something.
It's a way of controlling us. He does that to us intentionally. Not only do we have our physical life shortened, but when we pass over, there's this soul trap that he has instituted that causes us to reincarnate back here. They trick us into agreeing to come back here and still be under their control, because part of the problem is, like what he did to me in Malibu that night, was he erased my memory of most of that night. And he does that to us every time we reincarnate. They reinforce their control over us by erasing our memory of the previous lifetime. So it makes us much easier to control.